Whether we are looking at club members as volunteers or community members, we need to think about what our volunteer experience looks like. How do we keep those volunteers engaged and keep them coming back? There are lots of opportunities for people to give their time and energy. So what can you do to make your opportunities the ones people are choosing? Often, growing organizations believe that the most challenging part about volunteering is the recruitment process. But the true challenge is keeping volunteers engaged, fulfilled, and enthusiastic. At one time or another, we've all been excited to volunteer at an event, only to show up and find the activities weren't well planned, causing us to leave unfulfilled and unlikely to volunteer with that organization again. The volunteer engagement process helps you identify the skills of your volunteers, places them in roles that match their skills, and provides learning and growth opportunities for them. Communication is key in any volunteer opportunity. Whether or not you engage your volunteers determines your organization's overall success. Not to mention, your volunteers are often your biggest advocates and are usually the ones most proactively spreading the word about your cause to their network. Understand your volunteers and goals. When recruiting volunteers, explore their intent, interest, and skills to get a sense of how you can create appealing opportunities for them. Why are they choosing different opportunities to volunteer? If there is a connection between the opportunity and their passions, will they be more connected to the event? Volunteers who are not engaged do not return for future opportunities. Determine how you'll measure volunteer engagement. Does success mean having a large number of supporters that volunteer short-term? Does it mean having volunteers complete a certain number of hours per year? It's worth considering what success looks like to your club so your goals will be reflected in your volunteer engagement strategies. Clearly define what long-term engagement looks like for your organization. Long-term engagement will create lasting relationships, transform volunteers into leaders, and create a community that encourages more people to become involved with your mission. Walk through the volunteer engagement life cycle and identify weak spots. Your current volunteer engagement life cycle should, at minimum, include the following stages. First, recruitment. Are there different opportunities to volunteer? Are you providing options to match the passions of your volunteers? 2, screening. Do your volunteers have the skills necessary to complete the tasks they've been assigned? If not, are you pairing them with someone who does? Third, placement. Did you put your volunteers into the right roles to ensure their overall engagement? Fourth, orientation and training. Do your volunteers understand the expectations of their role, and do they feel comfortable asking questions? And finally, recognition. Make sure that you're consistently expressing appreciation for your volunteers. Even club members need to be recognized for their efforts and work. Make them understand that you know their time is valuable and you appreciate them giving that time to your event. Focus on your volunteer onboarding process. Remember that your volunteers have committed themselves to your mission and goals. Do your volunteers understand your mission? Why are you doing what you're doing? Can they answer those questions? Are they comfortable telling the story of the event or your club? Make sure you've got the right tools to support your volunteer engagement. How are your volunteers signing up for each opportunity? Is the process easy and seamless? A difficult process may put people off in helping again, so make sure your event is organized. How are you communicating with your volunteers? Do you know how your volunteers prefer to hear from you? And after the event, are you going back and reviewing what it was that was successful and what fell short? Asking for input from your volunteers will assure them that you're working to make the volunteer experience for the next time for them. Explore additional offerings and strategies to keep volunteers engaged. As your need for volunteers evolve and the areas you need help with change, people's motivations and skills might change too. You can develop new roles and encourage people to engage in your activities. Also remember that volunteers are more likely to volunteer again if they're able to mobilize with a community of friends around a common cause. Encourage your volunteers to bring a friend with them. Whether they're club members or community members, working alongside someone they know can help provide a better volunteer experience. This could also give you the opportunity to turn community members into club members. Reinforce the process with communication. Keeping an open line of communication with your volunteers is essential. Volunteers who are connected are more likely to return over and over again. And finally, regularly check in your progress via surveys and data. Have a follow-up process in place. Knowing what your volunteers thought about both their roles and the event will allow you to make adjustments, which could strengthen the event and keep your volunteers happy. Now let's talk about some ideas for avoiding volunteer burnout. Emphasize the mission. When volunteers understand the purpose of the volunteer opportunity, they're more likely to get engaged. Understanding the mission gives the volunteers a voice in the opportunity. Next, work on volunteer appreciation. Sometimes it's as simple as saying thank you. You also need each volunteer to believe that their role, no matter how big or small, is as important as every other volunteer. You cannot show appreciation enough. No one wants to be involved with something that does not give them a sense of being appreciated. In short, make sure you're saying thank you. Focus on volunteers' engagement needs. Don't make it all about the organization. This could have volunteers asking themselves, why are they there? Help your volunteers understand what they can get out of the experience. When people leave an opportunity with a sense of pride in both what the event did for the community and how they felt afterwards, they'll be much more likely to come back and even take on a stronger role in the future. Shrink the volunteering need down to size. This may be easier said than done, at least in the beginning. This is where feedback immediately following a volunteer opportunity can be a benefit. Were there too many people doing one thing while another area struggled? Understand volunteers' schedules and limitations. Do you offer a variety of opportunities to fit different schedules? Perhaps there are some that work best behind the scenes. Do you offer those opportunities? Do you allow your volunteers to choose what role they're filling? Putting someone into a role that is too outside of their comfort zone could really push them away from helping others again. So, why do people volunteer? People volunteer for lots of different reasons. It's good for you. It brings people together. It promotes personal growth and self-esteem. Volunteering strengthens our communities. You get a chance to give back. Volunteering encourages civic responsibility. And most importantly, you get to make a difference. That's why we're Sertomans, right? And with that, we'd like to extend our appreciation to you for joining us for today's session. We'd also like to thank Gretchen Nielsen of the Yellow Rose Sertoma Club for her help in developing this session for our members. For additional information and resources on this and other topics, please make sure to visit the 2 links here on the screen.